Hi, welcome everybody to session 6 of Navigating Uncertainty. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we're all meeting and where you may be watching this. Pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. The point of these sessions is to help provide some skills, some strategies, some techniques and some different ways of thinking and approaching current situation and the current kind of state of uncertainty. And nothing's really stable, nothing's really certain, nothing's really sure, but how to move through that, how to navigate that space in a way that you feel supported, in a way that is creative. You're able to outside of the current confines that we have, you're able to look at the same territory with fresh eyes. We're able to do it together and in a really hopeful, playful way. So having said that, I will hand it over to Patrick, who will take us through our faces today.
Hi, cloudy, windy day. It's a little bit different today. So every day's a new one. Fresh eyes, that was the one that sort of stood out on that introduction. Every time I listen to it, I pick up on something else. And fresh eyes is an interesting one. And I think, Liz, I don't think I've met you on a previous session, so welcome. The sort of theme that we're using with these is applied improvisation. So using the skills as an improviser, as a professional performer and improviser, and applying it to the development sector and developing us as leaders, as communicators. And in this particular time, we need to look at where we're going now with fresh eyes, because it is very chaotic out there to some degree. We don't know where we're situated. We aren't in our rhythm yet until things really become clear to us. It is this sense of chaos. There's new influences coming at us all the time. And so we need to navigate our way through that. And this is what exactly is the situation that as improvisers we find ourselves in every day. So we're looking at trying to get a sense of what our focus is. We need to get over the sense of failure, this fear of failure, because we, as improvisers, as communicators, and moving into the unknown, moving through uncertain times, we're always going to fail. We don't know what is the right thing to do. So it's how we fail. And which is what makes it more successful. And we look at this as a sense of no fear of it and failing with joy. So I always like to start the exercise, the sessions with a little exercise where you get to fail because it's new to us. But that's as hard as these sessions go. And it's called Brain Gym. And this is one I invented a couple of days ago. And I've only just mastered it myself. So we're going to start with the left hand. Here's Jeremy. Hey, Jeremy. And we're going to take the finger and thumb, first finger and thumb, and then second finger, fourth finger, third finger, and back again. So we're just going down the digits, thumb, finger, down to the digits that way in order. So we get into that sense of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that way. And then we're going to do the same on the other hand now. So it's just thumb, forefinger, ring finger, pinky, ring, fourth, and pointy. I can't remember the names of them. So, yeah. So that's pretty simple. We can do it at the same time each way. It's very easy. But what I want to do is we start with the thumb and the first finger of that one and the little finger of that one. And we go in reverse. All of a sudden it becomes just so much trickier. And you'll find that you end up with the same fingers sometimes.
I can't figure out what to do.
See, I ended up with 2 thumbs. So. And when we do it with just one hand, and all these exercises that we've been doing over the weeks, over the sessions, when we do it just on one hand, it's not a problem. And the other hand, it's not a problem. But when we have to do it separately on the different side of our brains, things become way more tricky and chaotic. And yet they're very, very simple tasks. And we're having to connect. Multitasking, I believe, is an absolute fallacy. There is no such thing as multitasking. We basically swap between one task and another constantly. And we swap quicker. You know, women are better at swapping tasks quicker than men are, which is, so it's not that you multitask, it's you swap between tasks quicker. If we're driving down the road and the radio is blaring, the traffic gets busy, first thing we do is turn the radio down. We can't even listen to music at the same time as we have to concentrate when things get under stress and duress. And this is where chaos sits, in the sense of so many things coming at us at once. We also get all these influences coming, and we think that because we don't know what's going on with these influences, we will fail. And it becomes a sense of, the chaos is too much, I'm going to fail. So this is an exercise I want to give us that allows us to take all these influences on and yet still find some resemblance of order in there, or it's just not that scary to have everything coming at once. We're going to go into pairs, and you're just going to tell a basic story. You can start anywhere. You can start at the beach, you can start tidying up your room, you can start in the garden, it doesn't matter where. And your scene partner is going to just throw random words. It doesn't matter what they are. The way they're going to do it is put their hand up and you stop speaking immediately. They give you the word and then you carry on. Naomi and I will demonstrate. This morning, I opened the back door and I went into the
giraffe
garden. In the garden was a giraffe. Now, this gave me a bit of surprise.
Bucket.
Because the giraffe had a bucket in its mouth. So I got my stepladder.
Razor.
From the garage. I had to remove all the old razors that I had discarded. And I got the stepladder.
Handbag.
And I walked up the ladder to get the bucket.
Pillow.
And luckily I'd put a pillow at the bottom because I slipped on the handbag and I fell and the pillow broke my fall. All right, so that's just silliness. But it's like every time you get a new sense of a new influence, a new offer put in, as quickly as possible, incorporate it as logically as you possibly can into the story. Once they've done that, you can then raise your hand again and add another word to it. So they could be objects, they could be verbs, nouns, whatever. So do you all understand that exercise? Yeah, have fun with it.
How long do you want, Patrick?
I want to do it twice. So let's go 2 minutes so you can swap over halfway through.
Okay.
All right, I don't think we got, did everyone get a go at that, or did you run out of time? You ran out of time? Yeah, we'll swap over and do it again so the other person can have a go. Just get some quick feedback before we do that. Was it easy to incorporate random objects into the story?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. Anything else? All right, so could we get this, if I would say, right, I'm going to give you 8 different random objects and you have to tell a story, it would be a lot more harder to do because then you're trying to link all the blocks. But by doing it one step at a time, what this allows us to do is just move very methodically through this sort of chaotic narrative. And just, it doesn't make that much sense, I know, sure. Naomi, you're about to speak.
I was just thinking like the spontaneity of it as well means it's less, rigid. It's less about getting something right, and it's more about how do we incorporate it? Where could this potentially go? How do I move with this idea as opposed to resist it?
Yeah, yeah, we're getting so many different ideas, and if we said, "Oh, look, this is too much. This is too chaotic. I can't handle it," and I shut it down, we're not going to get any results at all. But by taking it one step at a time and accepting that idea and putting it in and having that idea then influence the next offer that comes in that's chaotic, makes that manageable and manageable and manageable. We end up leapfrogging through the chaos one step, one offer at a time. Yeah. Let's go back so the other person can have a go.
Minutes again?
Bigger run. Yeah, 2 minutes doesn't seem to be very long, so that's
okay.
And just throw them at quicker this time if you feel like handling it.
I don't know if you can hear.
Patrick was good at that.
I bet. Should hope so.
Yeah.
Wow, we had a really weird story, that one. Let me just change my gallery view. So what's really interesting, I find, about this particular exercise is that if we are in a situation where we need to be co-creative and we need to have all these ideas coming down, sometimes it's hard for us to have to think of ideas as well as drive a conversation or drive a situation. But if my partner, my scene partner, or my co-worker is throwing ideas at me, then we're sharing the responsibility. The input was coming from Jeremy, and all I had to do was join the dots to tell a story. Yeah, I didn't have to think of weird things. I didn't have to think of discombobulated extraterrestrial professors, because that's what Jeremy was throwing at me at different times. And we ended up, between the two of us, telling a fun, weird, delighted story both times. Whereas if I was to sit here and try to tell you a story on my own that had all these weird objects and weird situations that linked it, I would find that very difficult. Yeah. How did you guys find it?
I enjoyed the experience. It felt like cross-pollinating, but I was also I was being playful of like trying to trick you as well and like do difficult things. And it was entertainment. I enjoyed both the putting my hand up and being spontaneous to a story that I was telling.
Yeah, good one. There's a thing that we have with improv about finding the game within the game. And we're trying to, I mean, Jeremy trusted me enough to know that whatever he threw at me, I could handle. So he had a game on top of the exercise that we were doing, which was to try to make things as difficult as possible for me. And as a result of that, we came up with a fun story. We both enjoyed the interaction a lot more. So that sort of sense of playfulness also allows us to take the power out of failure, because if I had failed at it, we would have laughed at the fact that Jeremy was playing this game on me. There was a sense of joy in what we were doing. So if the story didn't go anywhere, we wouldn't have worried as much. It would have just been a more playful experience. So we should never lose sight of the fact that the joyful element of navigating through chaos can be a very, very valuable tool. Fear is a dangerous way of approaching the unknown because we shut down. Naomi.
What comes when hearing you talk about it as well, it makes me think that the order of the information that you provided has a big difference as well, right? Depending on where the story goes, depends on what order information is thrown at you. And this whole idea of being able to see old territory with fresh eyes, I think, if we're able to break down certain elements of what we do and, perhaps use them in such a narrative way, kind of throwing different ideas in at different times, what that might actually look like. So it's a way, I guess, of reimagining things that we already know and we know really well too.
Yeah. It would be a very interesting exercise to write a list of all the things that were mentioned and then redo the story from exactly the same starting point, but change the order of what you threw in there, the story would be completely different.
Correct.
Completely and utterly different. So yeah, the influences that we're coming at us currently in this unknown time, we don't know what they are. We don't know what order they're going to come in at, and we don't know when they're going to come at us. And yet that if we just approach it with a sense of a fun and one step at a time, we're going to be able to get through that situation and these situations a lot more joyfully than the danger of being fearful of it.
And not shut down, we'll actually get through them.
Yeah, not shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to share a little moment that Naomi shared with me when we were sort of discussing and talking through this. I panicked a little bit myself, which is counterintuitive to the work that I do. And it was Naomi who pointed out, she goes, Patrick, as an improviser, this is your time. This is where you sit, this unknown time. Your work has prepared you for this moment, which was quite good, because even sometimes you can't see the forest for so many trees in front of your face. So it was interesting. I just want to follow on a little bit yet from yesterday's one as well, but for those that haven't done it before, you can still do this exercise. This one's called the two-headed expert, and we're going to do it in groups of 3 this time. And one person is going to be the interviewer. The other 2 people, are going to be speaking one word at a time, and they're going to try and answer the question that the person asks them. So the questions could be, at this stage, very, very simple. Why is the sky blue?
A simple question.
Or, yeah, well, you know, as far as why is the sky blue, that's 5 words, you know. Simple is ask open questions. So what, when, where, why, how, who, rather than yes or no reply answers, closed ones. And then rotate round so you get a go at it as well. Or let's do it once and then come back. So 2 minutes, Naomi?
Sure thing.
One person will ask the question, the other 2, 1 word at a time answers as one person.
How long did you say? 2 minutes?
2 minutes, and then we'll do it again.
Okay. But I'm gonna need to move people around a bit.
Here she comes. All right, so a little bit of technical. It took a while for our group to get going. How did you 3 go?
Here we are.
And Liz?
Yeah,
fun.
it was good.
Yeah. See, a lot of the time, especially with this particular exercise, and we talked about it briefly yesterday, is that you don't have full control over the answer. You don't have full control of where the topic may go, where the situation goes. This time, as opposed to yesterday we kind of went, the other day, Tuesday, we went, the topic could blow out anywhere. This time we're trying to head to a particular response. We're trying to get our way through this sort of chaotic sharing of ideas to get a final result. And yet we have to yield ideas that we might have, and we have to accept fully the ideas that someone else brings in. And it's a lot more focused with that. What were the difficulties that you found while doing this?
I didn't quite understand the exercise fully.
That's fine, we got there. Just in the technique aspect.
You do sort of predict what the person's going to say, and that guides what you're going to say next. So
Yes.
it's a bit strange.
Yeah. So you predict it, but it doesn't always come true, the predictions.
Yeah,
This
correct.
is the moment where you think, oh, I know they're going to go here, but they surprise you with something completely different.
Yes.
It means we have to let go of our prediction, our idea. And currently in this situation we are with at the moment, we try to predict how we're going to get through this week, or how we're going to get through our work situation. We predict how we're going to get our kids to school or whatever, and yet it's constantly changing. So we're constantly having to give our ideas up and yield to the new situation. Yeah. So let's go. Yeah, Naomi, sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say it's also that idea of trying to find a meaningful way of integrating new information rather than just there and thinking, oh yeah, it's part of the story, but like there was a real purpose to bringing it in as well, even if it wasn't something that you had chosen. There was still thought and intention put around how it could be useful and purposeful.
Yeah, and we have to completely value the idea that our partner has brought in, because it was their turn, that we are working through this problem, this situation together. Their ideas are just as valuable as my ideas. And we can't play that kind of status game. My ideas are better because I've been here longer, or your ideas aren't as good because you've never been involved with this situation, or whatever the kind of scenario might be. So we're constantly having to reevaluate and completely value our partner's ideas all the time. Otherwise, it will be chaos and we won't find our way through things.
And can I just say, like, that's so relevant with the work that we do. Like, I'm a youth drug and alcohol clinician, and I find that when I have clients and we're both coming up with ideas together and they put in a suggestion, I'm like, yes, and you really like feed off it. Whereas like in a session where you have clients and they just like shut down everything, it's really hard and you're just like, oh, I don't know how to sort of move through this, and it's so much more challenging.
Yeah, great observation. And it is really interesting. I find that a lot with youth in the work from the theatre side of things that I do, that they are a lot more susceptible to ideas and throwing ideas in. And as we get older, we are constantly put on restrictions over us. You know, you can't say this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do this. I've done it this way for so many years, I know this works. That's always a big one. Yeah. So having that kind of constant energy, and the energy begets energy. You know, they get excited by your enthusiasm and you get excited by their enthusiasm. And that kind of energy and co-creation allows for that flow to happen. And that's where the game within the game that I talked about with Jeremy earlier becomes fun. You know, you tend to play because your energies are vibing and you're moving through ideas. And chaos is exciting then, rather than challenging. Yeah. Go back and have a try with another pairing. So someone else gets to go at the person who was interviewing gets to go.
No, we had technical difficulties. Jeremy wasn't in our thing.
Oh. You must have lost Jeremy.
I think we lost.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll share what happened in our one, because it's a sense of that real sense of simplicity and play came for a very enjoyable result. The question was, how do you make carrot cake? And word at a time, Sharon and Naomi said, with carrots and cake. End of the story. But it was so simplistic and so joyful in that simplicity that it was such a good result. I didn't necessarily need a recipe. I didn't need to know about getting dry ingredients and wet ingredients and joining them together and making a cake. I just wanted an answer. And I got such a fun one through such a simple and playful result to it.
And direct, right? Like,
and
direct. You don't have words to fluff. You just have actions, and you have joiners, and you have, you know, nouns and verbs. Like you're not doing what I'm doing now. Really direct.
Yeah. It just sort of demonstrated how sometimes through the sense of simplicity, the results that we can get are so much so better, and so sort of a pure sense of co-creation to get a very simple response and a very easy and dynamic response for something. Yeah. Yeah. So you guys never got to do it. So what was it like from the inside from you two, Naomi and Sharon?
It was just fun.
Yeah.
Sorry, unmuted. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah,
And
it was good.
And it
Playful.
felt, and it felt good to be doing it together as well. Like, even though it was, you know what was coming, but there was this real sense of partnership.
Yeah, and I guess that's the point too, you know, like we talked about in the past about making your partner look good, that we're trying to constantly inspire the people that we're working with and get the best from them. And what can I do to get the best from my scene partner or my cohort or the person I'm working with, yeah? And as a result of simple responses like that, you do get the best from each other and you get a better result from it. So yeah, that's kind of my take on looking at chaos and accepting it and turning chaos into a joyful experience rather than a negative one, and how to get the best result from that. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you.
Share this with someone, because I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
I always find I end up with my two little fingers together or my two big fingers together the moment I stop thinking about it. Anyway.
Cool. Thanks so much,
Meeting tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone, and we've got one last session next Tuesday, so hopefully see you there. You can always check for the recordings on YouTube.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good day.
Have a good weekend. Enjoy your wine, Sharon.